Hey guys, it's me, Jay. How you guys doing? I'm doing all right. Um, yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Bernie Sanders' Middle East policy and the implications that it has if he were to win in 2020 and become the first president. The first Jewish American president. It puts him in a unique position because he is a Jewish American, and most of our Middle East policy is centered around the protection and interests of the state of Israel. But Bernie has come out publicly and criticized um, the state of Israel on several occasions, and even said that we can't really be as pro-Israel as we are. We have to take a more balanced look at this situation in the Middle East between Israelis and Palestinians. And I agree with him. I think that since 1948, the founding of the State of Israel, our Middle East policy has really been unbalanced because we've only looked at it from one perspective. That's the perspective of the Israelis because of American Jewish interests. But here you have um, Bernie Sanders, who is an American Jewish person, um, but he's on the political left, and he's really taking a critical look at Israel and our policies there, which, like I said, I agree with that approach because for far too long now, the needs and the wants of the Palestinian people and the Arab minority, in it, even in Israel proper, the Arabs of 48, even a lot of their grievances um, have not been met. And there's still a lot of them because they don't serve in the military in Israel. You know, they they're not really entitled to a lot of the same benefits that the Jewish Israelis are entitled to, except for the Druze community, which is um, an Arab community, but it's a heretical Muslim community in the north of Israel. It's sometimes in Lebanon, sometimes in Syria, and it they serve in the IDF, and they don't get the same benefits as Jewish Israelis. But most Arabs, both from the Christian and Sunni Muslim communities, don't serve in the IDF, so they don't get the same benefits as Jewish Israelis get. So even in Israel proper, outside of the settlements and the land procured in the Six Day War in '67, even in Israel proper, the land acquired in '48, um, Arabs are not treated um, as good as Jewish Israelis. But I would say that of course I would say that Arabs in Israel are treated better than Jewish people will be treated in some of the Arab states because we know that anti-Semitism is widespread in a lot of the Arab states, like um, the countries in North Africa, the countries in um, in the Middle East. But yeah, Bernie's approach should be unique. I don't know if Bernie is going to win. I don't even know if he's going to really get the support of a lot of the American Jewish community because Trump is very popular with American Jews. Even though American Jews tend to vote left, and they've historically always voted left, not only in the United States but um, in uh, other countries like in Europe where they've lived. Jewish people have always voted left, but the global left has really abandoned um, the Zionist project and really been more sympathetic towards Palestinians, um, than Israelis over the last 40 years since the Six Day War. People have really seen um, that seen the other side of the conflict, and really it's a very interesting conflict too because um, it's not really one way to look at it, either historically or you know current events wise. There's really multiple ways to look at this whole situation, but I hope that Bernie. I'm glad that Bernie is stepping out as a Jewish American, sympathizing with Palestinian people and Arab Americans and Muslims in general. Because even though there was a lot of persecution of Jewish communities in the Middle East, like I spoke about before, um, you know, when you compare it to Europe and the pogroms in Eastern Europe that Jewish people suffered, and of course the Holocaust, none like that ever happened in Morocco. None of that ever happened in Egypt. None of that ever happened in Lebanon, Palestine, um, Yemen, any of the Arab countries. Really, um, Islam had the Islam under the Ottoman Empire and the empires before that. They had the dhimmi stat, the dhimmi laws restricting movement of certain of religious minorities, including Christians as well as Jews. And Jews did face some legal disabilities in the Islamic empires, but they still had rights and they still were invited to go there during the Ottoman period to even settle in Israel before the existence of Israel. During, they were allowed to settle there and and establish homes there in places like Safed, you know, and to study there in yeshivas, whereas they weren't under the British. When the British came in, even though the British in 1917, the whole point of one of the main reasons they fought in World War One was to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine, as per the Balfour Declaration of 1917. They really didn't. Um, they What they basically did was they controlled the country until 48, and they did inevitably. They had to pass it over to the UN because Arabs and Jews, the Arab and Jewish communities were just going at each other because um, even though, like I said, the Muslim communities had always allowed um, Jewish people to settle in the Muslim lands, uh, when when Jewish people from Eastern Europe, the Russian Empire at that time, started to settle into Palestine, it became a real issue for the Muslim community because they were beginning to outnumber the Muslim community. And then when they established the state of Israel, um, Palestinians and other Arab Muslims were moved out. It's called the Nakba. And yeah.